Mr. Junaid Kamal Ahmed, Country Director, India, World Bank. Mr. Ho Yun Jeong, Deputy Country Director, India, Resident Mission, Asian Development Bank. Mr. C.K. Ranganathan, President, All India Management Association, and Chairman and Managing Director, Cabin Care. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to have you all with us this morning, and many thanks for joining us in IMA's Global Procurement Summit 2022. Dr. Ahmed, always a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much for agreeing to address the summit today. IMA greatly appreciates your support and guidance in creating this important platform for India's procurement leaders. IMA is privileged to have the World Bank as a partner in organizing this summit. We are also very pleased to partner with the World Bank in conducting diploma and certificate programs for procurement professionals. Once again, thanks for joining us this morning and for agreeing to share your thoughts on public-private cooperation in innovative and green procurement. Mr. Ho Yun Jeong, it is a pleasure to have you join us. As the Deputy Country Director in ADB's India Resident Mission, you are a stakeholder in India's economic progress. You are making an important contribution to the development of India's East Coast Economic Corridor and multimodal logistics parks. We look forward to hearing your ideas on the role of public procurement in creating infrastructure for global trade. Once again, warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Mr. Ranganathan, always a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much for agreeing to deliver the welcome address. You run a complex business with very sophisticated procurement operations. We look forward to hearing your perspective on how procurement can be a catalyst of economic transformation and growth. We are privileged to have the Government of India as a partner in this program. We are grateful to the Minister of State for Finance, Mr. Pankaj Chaudhary, for recording and sharing the inaugural address of the summit as he was unable to be with us this morning. I take this opportunity to express IMA's gratitude for the Minister's support and encouragement. We are also joined today by many policymakers and procurement leaders from the government, and we appreciate the support for the summit and their participation. Some of India's leading corporations are involved in the summit, and many of the country's top procurement and legal experts will be speaking during the various sessions. We also have speakers and participants from all over the world. The international organizations participating in the summit include the World Bank, ADB, OECD, United Nations Office of Legal Affairs, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, International Federation of Consulting Engineers, Singapore International Mediation Center, and Concept Italy. At this summit today, we will have a truly global perspective of public procurement. IMA sees public procurement as integral to the overall economic strategy of the country, and we have taken initiatives to create learning opportunities for India's procurement leaders and executives. IMA offers diploma and certificate programs in public procurement and global procurement, and the Global Procurement Summit has been established as a peer learning platform for Indian and global procurement leaders. Under Dr. Ahmed's leadership, the World Bank in India has been an integral part of IMA's initiatives in this area, and we hope to grow this partnership further. Ladies and gentlemen, this summit is a great opportunity to evaluate the opportunities and challenges in public procurement and to chart the map for the future. Each session of the summit is designed to inform you and prepare you to adjust quickly as things change. We will look at the new compulsions and priorities in public procurement and explore new ways to manage the procurement ecosystem. We will discuss the strategies to make public procurement a driver of economic growth and transformation and get better outcomes from public-private partnerships. There will be discussions on making procurement more resilient and sustainable, and also on ironing out disputes and delays. I'm sure both the speakers and the audience will enjoy each session and find new ideas to improve procurement in their respective organizations. With these words, thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you all. Thank you.
Good morning, all. Mr. Junaid Kamal Ahmed, Mr. Ho Yun Jeong, Ms. Rekha Sethi, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a great pleasure to have you all with us, and a very warm welcome to IMA Global Procurement Summit 2022. We are privileged to have tremendous support from the Government of India for the summit, and the Ministries of State for Finance, Mr. Pankaj Chaudhary, has shared the recording of the summit's inaugural address as he could not be with us in person. We are grateful to him, and I am pleased to welcome him in absentia. I also welcome the distinguished dignitaries from the key economic ministries of Government of India. Ladies and gentlemen, your expertise and resourcefulness is vital for India's economic recovery and transformation. As India pursues investment and inclusion for further growth, public procurement has become the engine of industrialization, digitization, public service expansion, and job creation. Each one of you has a critical responsibility in driving growth and change through public procurement. Thank you for joining us and a very warm welcome to you. Dr. Ahmed, it's a pleasure to have you and thank you for being a steadfast partner in IMA's endeavor to propagate public procurement know-how in India. You have done multiple stints in India in various roles of the World Bank, and coming from Bangladesh, you have a deep understanding of the development issues in South Asia. You have worked in other developing parts of the world, also including Eastern Europe, West Asia, and North Africa. You have been a key leader of the World Bank's global practices initiatives, and you have made an outstanding contribution in the area of water practices. Thank you for agreeing to share your ideas on the public and private procurement innovations to drive sustainable growth. Also, thank you for joining us and a very warm welcome to you, sir. Mr. Ho Young Jong, it's a pleasure to welcome you. You are a distinguished expert on economic corridor development, and as a senior leader of the India resident mission of ADB, you are providing important know-how for developing India's East Coast Economic Corridor and the creation of multimodal logistics parks. In the past, you have worked with South Korea's Ministries of Strategy and Finance, where you are involved in policy making, international cooperation, and trade agreement negotiations. Thank you for joining us and a very warm welcome to you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, public procurement has always been a key instrument of economic policy, but during the past couple of years, it has acquired a central role in economic stability and recovery. When the COVID pandemic spread across the world and the supply chain of critical medical items broke down, government had to intervene with massive procurement programs. Governments had to arrange emergency testing, quarantine, and treatment facilities, and charter emergency supplies and logistics. COVID vaccination has largely been an exclusive public procurement effort. Government sourcing has been expanded and directed more sharply to protect public health and to save the stricken industries and enterprises. Government have also favored greater local procurement and encouraged private sectors to source more locally to bolster economic recovery and resilience. Now, as COVID is getting normalized and economies are nearly back to functioning at full tilt, public procurement is becoming an instrument of economic transformation. Public procurement is a key driver of digitization as governments use digital platforms to deliver public services and seek comprehensive data on all citizens and their activities. Private sector is the key provider of all things digital, and the public-private engagement in this area is critical for a rapid and total digitization of the economy. Public procurement is also promoting local industrialization and economic inclusion by tilting sourcing towards local industry and enterprise of certain types. Importantly, government are using the public procurement heft to influence and shape markets. Public procurement will play a very critical role in the greening of industry and infrastructure. In fact, public procurement is crucial to achieving the net zero emission goals. Government needs to drive the private sector's alignment with its policies and preferences and encourage it to not only comply but also innovate. The public standards and practices themselves are under review and they need to be upgraded for the present and the future. To enable the government to undertake greater investment and services with finite resources, public procurement has to become more efficient and creative. A greater speed and scale in procurement has to be achieved at lower cost. The social and environmental impact of public procurement will be closely scrutinized, and the governance of procurement will be under a harsh spotlight because of the growing public investment and spending programs. Ensuring resilience of supply chains require a change in approach to procurement. The experience of COVID crisis taught everyone that a lot of supply chain disruptions was because of the smaller vendors ran out of cash, material, and personnel very quickly and had to suspend operations. Developing resilient supply chain through innovative management practices should be a very long-term goal for post-COVID world. While we strengthen the existing suppliers, it is also important to identify alternative suppliers, preferably in different regions. After the COVID experience, it has become important to have suppliers with facilities at multiple locations and to have suppliers closer to the market. This summit is a great opportunity to learn from the experts and also from each other. I'm confident that over the many sessions of this summit, all of us will acquire new insights into the covering roles of the public and private sectors in driving transformative and sustainable growth through procurement. One of the important challenges the worldwide we are all facing is the container availability, the kind of logistics, the seaport logistics and all is in a complete disarray. I feel that we need to definitely find out a long-term solution. This puts a lot of procurement initiatives in disarray. I think it's a very, very important thing one need to address. We all thought that it will get over within about 3 months, 6 months, but 2 years have passed by, nothing seemed to be happening. The freights have at least gone up by either 100 to 200%, or sometimes it is even 300%. Leave alone the freight increase, even the container availability. You are not sure when you will ship the material, when somebody will get. And this is a very, very important challenge. I'm sure this summit will definitely dwell on that kind of thing. Another one I would say is the e-procurement one. The reverse auctioning is one of the things that was very old, maybe 10, 15 years old, but still it is not very widely prevalent. But it could very, very effectively be used in a lot of commodity purchases. I believe that this would save a lot of costs, not only to big companies, but also for smaller enterprises. This would go a long way. Then the digitization, one of the important initiatives, how well, because gone are the days that for every follow-up, you need to kind of call and do all these things, procurement. And the digitization has gone to a very, very different level. What 10 people used to do in terms of that, today only one person can very effectively manage. So I also feel that there is great opportunity in digitization and bringing a far more higher amount of transparency to the ecosystem. I welcome all of you once again and urge you to make the best use of this summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful welcome address. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege in inviting the Country Director, India World Bank, Mr. Junaid Kamal Ahmed, to kindly give his special address. A warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Namaskar, Assalamu alaikum to everyone. It is a pleasure to join you. Let me again thank Department of Expenditure, Ministry of Finance, and IMA for the partnership that they have. This is, by the way, the event is entering its 7th year, and it's an incredible, I think, track record. And the fact that it's continuing and the demand is huge is a proof of how important this event is. And I wish you another 7 years at least going forward. Mr. Rangarathan, Setiji, and Dr. Agarwal, a pleasure to see you. My colleague Steve from the Asian Development Bank, wonderful to see you also. I don't have much to add to what Mr. Rangarathan has said. Maybe I just want to reflect on a few issues. The pandemic reminded us of a very important fact: the importance of the state. We have become so used to the world of technology, the world of public-private partnership, the world of civic associations coming into development. There's somewhat a sense of a state falling behind or in the background. What the pandemic showed was the importance of the state. It would be hard to see the world moving out of the shock that hit it without the state's intervention. Markets by themselves would not have taken us out of this shock. And even if it did, it would have taken us a long time. A civil society by itself could not have responded. Private sector by itself could not have responded. The importance of the state has been reassessed, and the importance of the state recognized, if you will, in the storyline. Now, many of you will say, but we always knew the importance of the state. After all, if you look at it from the point of view of procurement, around 25% of GDP of this nation is on state procurement. And state in this country, of course, is a federal state. So maybe I'm saying something obvious, but I think what I'm trying to get at is that the relevance of state in development is not only been seen again from its importance, but it's being reassessed. And it's the reassessment that I want to focus on. I think today's world is different from 10, 15 years ago in a very particular way. And that particular way is what I would call that we are managing public policy under greater uncertainty. The uncertainty comes from technological shifts. It comes from risks that emerge out of climate change shifts, out of pandemic shifts. There are a lot of shifts that are happening worldwide that leave public policy to manage uncertainty in ways that we did not see 10, 15 years ago. In fact, what we often say is that we're now getting used to managing the fat tail of a distribution curve. Usually distribution curve, one thinks of the tail sort of leveling out at a very low level. But in the case today of shocks, those tails are becoming fat. And we're beginning to live in a world where we are managing under policy uncertainty. Doing procurement under policy uncertainty is a challenge. How do we do that? When a shock like pandemic happens, what rules do we change in procurement to enable a much faster emergency-based procurement? Similarly, as climate change is coming, not only the long-term investment in green economy, but how do you deal with the shocks as they hit you? How do you do procurement under those systems? I think that is a very, very important question that is emerging. One question that remains constant, even as we begin to rethink procurement system to meet this world of uncertainty, is how can procurement signal the integrity and the transparency of government? If there is anything that tells citizens about their government, it's how they engage in procurement. So how do you maintain the transparency and the accountability, even as you begin to shift the nature of procurement, given the changing nature of the economy and the changing nature of the state? The changing nature of the state, we're all familiar with. In fact, as I looked through your agenda, you're beginning to address it in different ways. The state that is doing much more public-private partnership, a state that is today more local in a federal system that's not centralized, a state that delegates more of its decision-making to the lowest tier of its administration. This state is constantly changing. And in that changing nature, you do need to have very different procurement. But at each point, if transparency and accountability of the procurement system is at all damaged, then the whole credibility of the state is damaged. So not only do we need to relook at procurement under a world of uncertainty, policymaking on uncertainty, but we need to ensure that there is no compromise on the whole issue of accountability and transparency. And then the third part, which I think is very important in procurement system, is the ability of government officials to actually take decisions and not be held back. There is quite a bit of risk averseness that comes in, that if they make the wrong decisions, they will be held accountable. Fair enough, that is true. But the way procurement systems are done, you have to make sure that it does not introduce a risk averseness in the way government officials work. Government officials need to be empowered to make decisions they need to be held accountable, but they need to be empowered to make those decisions. And how we design procurement systems and its relationship to accountability and transparency will ensure whether or not officials take that step to implement, are willing to be risk takers in a positive sense, not in a negative sense. And a fourth point that I would make is, even as the state is changing and we constantly change the nature of state administration, one has to invest in mechanisms of capacity building. Often what you have is economic transformation happens, but the capability of the state does not keep up with the economic transformations that are happening. And as a result, there is a gap, and that gap slows down the ability of the state to really use its 20, 25, 30% of its GDP in procurement to respond to the needs of the day. How do you build capacity in government? And we have in India the emergence of the Capacity Building Commission and the measures that Department of Personnel and Training are undertaking, beginning to help them rethink innovative mechanism of capacity building as it relates to procurement, I think becomes very important. The last budget of Government of India under Honorable Finance Minister, I think was a very, very pragmatic and a very, I would say, signals stability at a time when instability has been the name of the game. And there are many innovative reforms that were announced in this budget, which have implications for the procurement system. Introduction of digital currency, insurance bond as security, end-to-end online e-bill system. All of these will affect day-to-day procurement. It will affect and help suppliers and contractors in a big way. And I think we need to understand where these innovations are coming in and how they can actually be strengthened. Let me conclude by saying that I would really encourage all of us to invest in some reflection of how procurement has evolved in the last decade, and do some scenario planning looking forward. Where should procurement be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? I think we need to map out the direction of procurement. Things are changing very fast, and we need to signal into the economy how procurement systems are going to remain at the cutting edge as the economy changes. I think this is a very, very important signal to small and medium enterprises, to large firms, to civil society, who are big part of the service delivery mechanism in rural countries rural areas of South Asia. Procurement and how procurement is going to support them, I think, becomes very important. But I think we need to look forward and begin to signal, where will procurement be 5 years from now? It is a signal of stability to government system that is very, very much needed. Let me conclude by saying that 7 years of continuous seminars and training that has been put together is a signal of the importance of this workshop. And I think that this workshop should really invest in a system where not only we are doing it at a global level, but we're doing it at a country level, at a subnational level. The way you bring in global experts, the way you bring in a focus on the key issues is to your credit. Very happy to know that the bank is a partner with the Government of India and IMA, and please know that we will be with you in the coming years. Thank you very much for giving me the time to share some thoughts with you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that very insightful and encouraging address from you. Ladies and gentlemen, I take it as completely my privilege to invite the Deputy Country Director, Asian Development Bank, Mr. Ho Yoon, to kindly give his special address. Very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. World Bank Country Director, Mr. Junaid, IMA leadership, Mr. Langanathan and Ms. Seshi. And ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. First of all, I would like to thank the All India Management Association for organizing this Global Procurement Summit in partnership with the Ministry of Finance and Development partners, including World Bank and Asian Development Bank. This year's theme, convergence of public and private sectors to maximize value through green and innovative procurement, couldn't be more relevant these days. So please allow me to tackle this green procurement theme from the viewpoint of supply chains. As we already know, complex supply chains are inherently vulnerable to external shocks and disruptions. As we have witnessed, the COVID-19 pandemic has hit global supply chains at an unprecedented scale and speed, highlighting the weak points in trade networks, inventories, and financing. So in response, ADB moved swiftly by creating a new quick disbursing fund to help expedite government procurement activities to manage this crisis. ADB also announced the creation of the Asia Pacific Vaccine Access Facility, or APVAX, in December 2020, and allocated 9 billion to support COVID-19 vaccine procurement and vaccination program. However, mobilization of financing is only one part of the response. Border restrictions and health protocols disrupted the production, supplies, and flow of critical goods, including medical devices and vaccines, making it hard to procure these goods and distribute to citizens, especially the poor and vulnerable. So we have learned a lesson from the pandemic that supply chains must now become even more resilient to respond to all forms of emergencies. South Asia, in particular, is uniquely vulnerable to climate change, disasters, and diseases, which means building a resilience is paramount. Supply chain disaster resilience is clearly complex because of the diverse parties involved, firms, government, and multilaterals. So ADB has spearheaded collaboration with suppliers, professional specialists, private sector companies, NGOs, and civil society organizations, as well as other development partners, to help our developing member countries build long-term systemic resilience within supply chains. Aside from financing, we have adopted flexible procurement processes to facilitate emergency procurement of critical supplies, enhanced hands-on operational procurement and logistics support to member countries, and undertook supply market assessment for critical medical goods and health expertise, and also provided capacity building to the procuring agencies of the government. ADB made a conscious decision to go beyond this normal due diligence to undertake direct procurement of critical medical goods as an immediate response to the urgent needs of member countries. We have also developed supply chain maps for pandemic fighting products, an online platform which can be used by banks, investors, governments, and healthcare professionals to access the information they need to reach out to companies involved in the supply chains of goods to fight COVID-19 and thereby assist in removing supply chain bottlenecks. Countries like India have also had to quickly adopt procurement reforms, as highlighted by Mr. Junaid. In October of last year, India announced the general instructions on procurement and project management. It was also highlighted in the finance minister's budget speech last month. Among others, it mandates quicker payments to contractors and easier application through the paperless and online e-bill system. Saying this, there remain important procurement issues in India that needs to be tackled going forward, including reassessment of the lowest cost winner framework, raising the limit for technical scoring in bids at par with international standard, setting strict time limit for processing bids, and hiring of independent engineers to monitor and evaluate the progress of contracted work.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to an eminent point of the event where we will want to screen the e-message sent by our Honorable Minister of State for Finance, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary.
उपस्थित वर्ल्ड बैंक, एशियन डेवलपमेंट बैंक के अधिकारी, AIMA के पदाधिकारी तथा वित्त मंत्रालय के पदाधिकारी, मुझे आप लोगों के बीच आकर बहुत खुशी हो रही है। मैं AIMA, वर्ल्ड बैंक और एशियन डेवलपमेंट बैंक को बधाई देता हूँ कि उन्होंने इस महत्वपूर्ण विषय पर सरकार के साथ भागीदारी करते हुए इस शिखर सम्मेलन का आयोजन किया है। सार्वजनिक निजी भागीदारी PPP ने भारत में आर्थिक विकास को गति देने में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है। आज की नई प्रौद्योगिकी और सॉफ्टवेयर कॉर्पोरेट जगत और सार्वजनिक क्षेत्र के बीच सहयोग का परिणाम है। पब्लिक प्रोक्योरमेंट रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में एक बहुत अहम भूमिका निभाती है, क्योंकि ये सड़कों, स्कूलों, अस्पतालों, पेयजल, स्वच्छता आदि जैसे सामाजिक और आर्थिक बुनियादी ढांचे के निर्माण में मदद करती है। हमारे देश में रेलवे, रक्षा, स्वास्थ्य और दूरसंचार जैसे सभी क्षेत्रों द्वारा सार्वजनिक खरीद के लिए बजट आवंटन किया जाता है, जो कि देश की कुल बजट का एक बड़ा हिस्सा होता है। आमतौर पर पब्लिक प्रोक्योरमेंट देश की अर्थव्यवस्था में लगभग 20% का योगदान करता है और सरकार के बजट में इसकी हिस्सेदारी लगभग आधी है। यही कारण है कि प्रोक्योरमेंट नीति निर्धारण और क्रियान्वयन लोकतंत्र का केंद्र है। हाल ही में पेश किया गया केंद्रीय बजट 4 प्राथमिकताओं के इर्द गिर्द विकास में गति प्रदान करता है। इनमें से एक PM गति शक्ति है, जो सड़कें, रेलवे, बुनियादी ढांचा और हवाई परिवहन जैसे क्षेत्रों में विकास पर केंद्रित है। यह महत्वाकांक्षी प्रोजेक्ट PPP मॉडल में से ही संभव हो पाएंगे। PPP के संबंध में सरकार का विकास एजेंडा आर्थिक विकास, नौकरियां, आय वितरण और गरीबी में कमी पर केंद्रित है। भारत में सार्वजनिक खरीद प्रणाली देश के GDP का लगभग 30% है। फिर भी एक प्रभावी सार्वजनिक खरीद प्रणाली होने के महत्व को कभी भी कम नहीं किया जा सकता है। राष्ट्रीय बजट में खरीद से संबंधित सरकारी खर्च का परिणाम को देखते हुए सरकार ने सार्वजनिक खरीद में सुधार के महत्व को महसूस किया है। सरकार खरीद संबंधी सुधारों को शुरू करने के बहुत प्रतिबद्ध है। भारत सरकार द्वारा शुरू की गई कुछ पहले निम्न है: सूक्ष्म और लघु उद्यमों के लिए सार्वजनिक खरीद नीति, पब्लिक प्रोक्योरमेंट पॉलिसी मॉनिटरिंग पोर्टल, क्वालिटी कम कास्ट सिलेक्शन नीति, प्रतिवर्ष GEM का विकास इत्यादि। मेक इन इंडिया कार्यक्रम को भी शक्ति प्रदान करने के लिए सरकार सार्वजनिक खरीद नीति का उपयोग कर रही है। सरकारी खरीद में स्थानीय विनिर्माण और सेवाओं को प्राथमिकता दी जाती है, ताकि निजी क्षेत्र और रोजगार सृजन के अधिक अवसर पैदा हो। कोविड महामारी के कारण वर्ष 2021 की बहुत सी योजनाएं, विशेषकर ग्लोबल प्रोक्योरमेंट, नकारात्मक रूप से प्रभावित हुई है। इस अस्थिरता से घिरे हुए समय में प्रोक्योरमेंट टीमों को खरीद तरीकों को और अधिक तलाशने की जरूरत है। हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की देखरेख में मार्गदर्शन में हो रही डिजिटल क्रांति के साथ खरीद और आपूर्ति श्रृंखला प्रबंध सफलता के लिए एक प्रमुख चालक के रूप में कार्य करेगा। हमें भारत सरकार और विश्व बैंक के समर्थन से AIMA द्वारा प्रदान किए गए ग्लोबल प्रोक्योरमेंट समिट जैसे मंच की आवश्यकता है, जहां हम इस परिवर्तन को संभव बनाने के लिए एक साथ आते हैं। एक बार पुनः AIMA को इस समिट के आयोजित करने के लिए धन्यवाद एवं शुभकामना देता हूँ। नमस्कार, जय हिंद।
Heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Minister of State for Finance, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary, for that very encouraging e-message and the inaugural address. Ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to still establish a contact with Mr. Ho Young. And the minute we get an indication from our back-end team, we shall play his message or he would like to interact with everyone. In the meanwhile, we will move ahead with the inaugural session and to moving to a significant moment of the session, the release of the summit souvenir. I request
Mr. Young is here, please.
our members present virtually and in the physical mode to kindly join us as we move forward to the release of summit souvenir.
Mr. Jeong is here.
A very wonderful moment with that release of Summit Souvenir. Congratulations to one and all here. Ladies and gentlemen, I just take it as my privilege to re-invite our Deputy Country Director, Asian Development Bank, Mr. Ho Yu-jong, who is going to present his special address. Once again, a warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you so much. And then my apology. I'm very sorry for the inconvenience caused by this unexpected disconnect. We encountered connection issues, which happens nowadays very often in this virtual environment. Actually, my speech was almost at the end. So again, I'm confident that today's discussion will present many brilliant perspectives on how we can work together to build not only resilient business, but also resilient economies. So thank you again. I wish you all an insightful summit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We completely understand the digital glitch. It's part of life right now, but thank you for your encouragement indeed. Thank you, dignitaries. With that, we have arrived to the concluding moment of the inaugural session. And I would like to request Dr. Raj Agarwal, Director, All India Management Association, to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
So thank you all. So on behalf of IMA, it is my privilege to propose vote of thanks. At the outset, we are thankful to Honorable Minister Sri Pankaj Chaudhary, Minister of State for Finance, Government of India, for his inspiring inaugural address on convergence of public and private sector to maximize value through green and innovative procurement. His address definitely has set the tone of today's summit and will facilitate us in generating new ideas how private and public sector can partner for maximizing value through green and innovative procurement. We are very thankful to Mr. Junaid Kamal Ahmed, Country Director India, World Bank, for his motivating and learned address and continued support in our endeavor in procurement initiative, and further his promise that how we can build up procurement vertical in coming years to serve the country as well as to other sectors of the society. I am also thankful to Mr. Ho Yu-jong, Deputy Country Director, Asian Development Bank, for his excellent address and support to IMA, and for his very good insight that how supply chain that can be effectively utilized in case of procurement or in case of crisis. I also express my gratitude and thank to our President, Mr. C.K. Ranganathan, CKR, President, All India Management Association, for his inspiring address and welcoming all the dignitaries and delegates of this summit. We are very thankful to our Director General, Ms. Rekha Sethi, for her dynamic leadership, for providing this platform of procurement to IMA and building up complete vertical in the area of procurement. So, Madam, thank you very much for providing all support in organizing all summits, and this is the 7th one. We are also thankful to Department of Expenditure, Ministry of Finance, World Bank for partnering with us in organizing this event. We got excellent support from Ministry of Finance all the time by representation of a speaker, by ideas, and as well as this World Bank is always forefront in designing the program, in identifying the speakers, as well as suggesting so many innovative ideas. So thank you very much, to World Bank also. We would like to thank our international partner, Asian Development Bank, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, FIDIC, and United Nations Industrial Development Organization for their support in hosting the event. This year, we have also added UNIDO. So we find that there is a similarities as well as there is a linkages between MSME as well as in this procurement. So definitely support by UNIDO is going to be very, very beneficial for such kind of conferences. We also like to thank Deloitte, the knowledge partner, Gale Authority of India Limited as PSU partner, and Government e-Marketplace, GEM, as associate partner to support us in this event. All his speakers and delegates from India and abroad joining in a very good number also deserve our appreciations and thanks for their support and cooperation in organizing this massive global event in hybrid mode. Thank you very much. Thank you.